Welcome to White Light Industry. How about today we talk just heads on this tape. The heads seem to take the most preparation, and it's too time consuming to put it on the engine tape. So if you'll bear with me, let's go through preparation of these heads. First thing you're going to want to do for you fellows that are running pressed in studs, that's of the older style heads. They've got pressed in studs instead of screw-in. What you're going to do is right here, you're going to come in with this tool here, screw it on, and you're actually going to pull them studs right up out of here. And this is the tool that you use to do that. Now once you've got the stud up out of there, the boss is probably 9/16 higher than it is right here. This is the tool you're going to use. You're going to put it down in there in your big drill, and you're going to keep spinning it, and it'll cut it right down to the proper depth. This is it right here. It's got cutters on each side of it, and it slides down right into the hole there. Now after you get it cut, there's going to be this high point still left here. You're going to start with a series of drills ending up with a U drill. This U drill is about 3.5 thousandths smaller than a 3/8 drill. So a 3/8 would be sufficient, but you'll get a nice tight fit if you can find a U drill. You'll go down and you actually drill these holes right out. And once you've got them drilled out, whatever is remaining here, just hit and grind it off. And then you want to take with like a 1/2 inch drill and just chamfer that edge a little bit, just to get that roughness off that edge right there. Now once you've got it down where she's flush and a hole is properly drilled, here's another tool that you're going to use. This tool here, it's going to allow you to put the threads in straight into this head. This pin will go down into one side here. See it? This pin goes in here, and then you take and you just start threading your holes down through here. This will give you that 7/16 thread that you're going to need for the screw-in studs. Now while you're over in this area, these holes right here where your push rods go down through need to be elongated. They're too small. Here's the tool that you're going to use to elongate them. Buy this right from Cam. It sets down in here with the flat side facing in. With your drill, you just go in with this 5/16 drill bit, and it'll actually elongate the hole for you so you can get the 1/6 rocker arms on, or for a higher lift cam you'll hit here also. These particular heads, they come with a 1/2 inch hole. Consequently, we had a little bit of valvetrain wobble in it, and we were hitting on the inside edge towards the valve. This side here we were hitting on. So what I had to do was take this same 1/2 inch drill and put it down in here and come to the inside, making this hole a little bit elongated towards the valve so the push rod won't hit as it's being revved up. Sticking with the same thing, here's the screw-in studs that most people use. If you're buying these for the first time, what I'd rather have you do, instead of buying the 3/8 stud, buy the 7/16. This 7/16 will take all that flex up out of the top. And as soon as you haven't bought a set already, go ahead and jump into a 7/16 stud instead of the 3/8. Can you see how much larger they are? This will take all the flex out of there without getting into exotic valve train work. We're also going to go with the 3/8 push rods, and these are the guide plates that work with the 3/8 push rods. Now that'll take care of your stud assembly right here. Now you know you've got good studs in there. Your holes are large enough where they're not going to hit. Now what I want you to do is come over here. We're going to machine What these are is these are actually probably at 3/4 inch high where your valve stem comes through, your valve guide. They're about 3/4 of an inch high, and you're going to reduce them down to at least 9/16, if not a ½ inch high. And what you're going to do, this tool here does two things. It cuts for the Teflon seals, which I'll show you, and which we run. It'll cut for the seal. It'll also cut for the 550 springs that we run in our motors. What it does is, back in your drill again, you're just going to go down, and you'll, as she's spinning, it's taking a double cut. It's cutting for the seal, and it's also cutting for the spring. Now for you guys on the older heads, before you put that cutter in, on your stock location, you're going to put in this 30 thousandths shim. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to cut too deep and go into the water jacket. So by placing this shim down in the stock location, this is nothing more than a spring shim, 30 thousandths thick. You're going to cut down in there. You're going to get the same diameter, with the exception you're going to leave these in there, not the one that you're using to drill. You're going to put new ones in after you've gotten through machining for the larger valve springs. Now here's the Teflon seals. See them? Much better than the rubber, and they don't deteriorate. And what you do is there's a little sleeve that you put on the valve to slide these down over the valve so you don't nick them where the valve keepers go. And they'll go on, and then you just take with a ½ inch socket, and they'll push right down on that stem there for you. Now a lot of people don't check, but I do. I take a straight edge and run a straight edge across the top of these valves. On these particular heads, what you've got, because there's a water jacket under the intake valves, these are not machined down as low as the exhaust side. There's actually anywhere between 20 to 30 thousandths higher. Oop, let me get over here. Right here. This is actually 30 thousandths higher than the exhaust side. So when you go in to check for your spring height, there's a little difference there that I want you to note right now, so you don't think you're kind of going crazy when you're doing that. Now here's the springs that we use. We use these are actually a 1-inch 540 spring from Cam. The number on this spring is a 929. This will give us the proper spring pressure for the particular camshaft that we're running. And by using that tool to machine it out, you can see it fits in there very nicely. Now we also use the titanium retainers. These titanium retainers, you actually buy them once and never buy them again. They're a little more expensive initially, but they're well worth it, because if you've got a little spring chatter, because the springs have worn down a little bit, these will take the chatter where the steel ones won't. The number on these is a 732. We also use 10-degree locks. Just as a safety precaution, most of your standard head people use 7-degree locks, which I guess is sufficient. I go in just to take, I'm kind of cautious. I use the 10-degree locks with the 10-degree retainers. And these locks you can get right from Cam, and the number is 611. Let me also give you a number on these guide plates in case you do want to go to the 3/8 push rods. These are a 4802, also Cam. And the studs, which are the 7/16 studs, are the 4506. So keeping in mind that everything we're doing, we're using the 7/16 larger pieces. Now we're going to get into some filing and grinding, and I'm going to show you the different tools you're going to be using. You're going to need a rat tail file. And the reason you're going to use this file is where your head bolts go down through this head. If they've been torqued once or twice, they've actually got a little chamfer on the top edge. I just want you to take and go down in here and just lightly file that chamfer until you feel that it's straight down through at a 90 degree. You're going to get that little bevel or chamfer, as you call it. and I want you to take those out of all of them head bolts there. This is a nice kit that you can buy from Mr. Gasket. These are this is sandpaper on different size rollers. This kit here that we bought was the porting kit, they call it, and it's a 4362 Mr. Gasket kit. Gives you a lot of different sizes in there. Now if we're doing some minor gasket matching and some port work, I don't want you guys to go crazy on this porting and polishing deal. These are some of the burrs. These are carbide tip burrs that you can buy. They come in various sizes and lengths, as you can see. Round, it's kind of bevel here, see, larger, smaller. So for all the little nooks and crannies that you're going to be getting into, you'll probably want to invest in at least a couple of these burrs. And if you find that you need to get some into some different angles, you can go and buy some additional burrs later. I want you to do a little bit of cleanup work on these exhaust ports. Now what you'd be doing is you'd get some blue dye or even magic marker and cover this surface here with the blue dye or a magic marker. Then you take your gasket, bolt it in place, and take either a scribe or a woodall or an ice pick and just follow this gasket right here on the inside, both places. And what you end up with is a nice clean line in that blue. Now you could take the burrs that I showed you earlier and follow that line until you grind it out, so that's what you call gasket matching. Now as I told you, I don't want you to go crazy grinding on these heads. It really should be done by a professional. He's got a flow bench. He knows exactly how much to take off. The only thing I'd like you to do is to come in with the burrs or the sandpaper and smooth down this surface. This surface is very rough. I want you to smooth it down on all the exhaust sides right here. Just go in there and make sure it's nice and smooth where you can feel no rough edges, so the exhaust gases will flow out of there easily. Now this is the gasket that we use to gasket match. This is a stock gasket. We have not opened this head up. This is actually an almost stock configuration, with the exception that we polished it a little bit. You can't get in any trouble polishing. Now I want to show you a gasket here. See if you can see it. Yeah, let me just line that up a little bit. When I say gasket matching, now make sure you don't buy a race set of gaskets. This is a race set of gaskets. Can you see how much material you'll be taking off of that head? And in an inexperienced person's hands, I definitely don't want you to do it. So there again, watch the gasket that you're buying. Make sure that it's not taking out an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/4 of an inch. Some gaskets are so large you actually see a 1/4 inch opening in here. So just watch your gaskets when you're going ahead and gasket match whatever set you buy. Make sure that you do not take a lot of material out of these heads. Now the same thing with the intake side. I put a little copper, Permatex copper on this gasket so you can see it better. But we've done the same thing. We use all the Detroit gaskets. This way we know exactly what we've got. We've been using them for the last 3 years. I haven't had any trouble with them. I'm definitely going to stick with them. But I want to show you this. In other words, this has been gasket matched. We've done the same procedure by putting the blue, then scribing it, and either with the donut sandpaper or the cutters, we went in here and opened it up. Now we went a little bit further here in as much as we polished down in. If you notice that, we've actually polished this surface. We want to speed up that charge of fuel as it's going in there. So we went in and did some polishing in here, but not removing excess metal. There again, you want to take it to that professional porting and polishing shop. He knows exactly what to do. He has to have a flow bench in order to do these right. So if he's got a flow bench, by all means take it to him. If he doesn't, you're better off doing it yourself, because you can guess just as good as he can. One other thing up on top, I buy these magnets. They have magnet kits out This particular kit gives you 2 for each head, 1 on each side. It also gives you 4 for the oil valley. I recommend this because if you do have any kind of shavings running around in there or any metal that's wore, it'll stick to the magnet and you can take these out and wash them off and take that metal out of that engine. Turning the head over, I want to show you in here. Can you see how we polished this chamber? We've gone in with those stones and burrs and give it a nice polish job to make it all smooth. We want it to reflect the heat a little bit better. That's this one right here. Here's a stock head right here. Can you see how rough that is? The only thing we did was just smooth it down. Now these are a 64cc head, and after you've done that, they're probably up to a 65 or a 66cc head. But it's better to have a smooth surface than a rough surface because the gas will flow better. Let's talk about this valve job. This valve job is very critical. I'm going to tell you what we did. We went down on the intakes right here. Intake side. We made a first cut with a K13, which is this one right here. We actually went right down to the bottom to give us a nice 90-degree angle here. After we got the 90-degree down in here, come back up on the top and use this K442 to cut this 30-degree up on the top here. See it? So we've got a 90 coming up, a 30 up on the top. Your seat, let me back up a second. I went in there with one that I made and cut a 60 just above that, right over here. Then I came in with the standard 45-degree angle cut, which is where your valve will be lapped in. So the intake side actually got 4 cuts. The one was just a cleanup to get rid of the high sides in here on both sides. The others were actually a taper cut, the seat cut, and then a bevel cut, so the fuel will go in and out easier. On the exhaust side, I came in with an SK5. I did have the right size, which gave me a 60-degree down in here. After I did the 60, I came up on the top and used a K421 to cut that 30-degree right up on the top there. You want just a hair of 30 degrees showing before you cut your 45 seat right in here. So what we ended up with is we've got a 60, a 45, and just a probably 10-15 thousandths of 30 on the exhaust. You can make it wider on the intake, but you want to keep it to maybe 15-20 thousandths on the exhaust side here. Then I went down with the burr, and where I could find high spots, I actually blended these cuts in that I made. So that was how we did our valve job. We actually went in there and did the actual valve job with 3 or 4 cutting stones, and then just did some minor polishing down in here so we didn't have ridges. Now for intake and exhaust valves, these are also Comp Cam. This is Comp Cam's intake valve, number is 6000. This is the exhaust valve, the number is 6010. Now the only thing you're going to want to do when you get these valves, this edge here is perfect. It's at a 90-degree. You've got your 45-degree cut here where you're going to lap that seat in. You're going to want to take them to the machine shop and put one more cut. You want a back cut from here to about here at a 30-degree angle. Even though these are a swirl polish valve, I like to back cut them back up into there, probably 30 to 50 thousandths. Get a back cut on there. Now these valves, as I said, are swirl polished, and the radii here is reduced down. It's a smaller radii, so you can actually get more fuel in. Takes up less space, in other words. Now on the exhaust side, same thing. These are radii. more space for the exhaust gas to go out. You want to do this back cut like we just talked about. You want to take and come in here from this edge and come over and put a 30 thousandths back cut in here. As you can see, these are swirl polished. Go ahead and do that back cut. There's your 45-degree angle. That's where you're going to lap these valves in. Here's your 90-degree, which is perfect. Now I want you to come up on this top edge here and put another 30 thousandths back cut. Probably 10-15 thousandths. You just want to knock that square edge off on the exhaust valve only. And we're going to do that. We're going to run up to the machine shop and we're going to put these additional cuts into these valves before we go ahead and show you how to lap them into the heads here. I want to just take a moment here. I feel these valve angles are very important and I want to go over it. So I made up these diagrams for you. This is the exhaust valve seat in the head. Here's that 30-degree that we were talking about. It goes right up on the top portion of the head seat. Here's that 45-degree. This is 45 degrees in angle, and you're going to want this seat, the width of it is going to be between 65 thousandths and 70 thousandths wide after you've ground these two angles in here. This is the back cut. See it? We went down, this is a 60-degree stone that we used just to get it down in here. And then we went in and blended. See, you'll have a sharp edge here. We went in and blended this out of here. This is the intake valve seat. This is also in the head. Here's that 30-degree back cut. See, it's just up on top of the surface there. But it's very hard to see on camera. Here's your standard 45-degree angle where your seat is going to be. This is going to be 85 to 90 thousandths wide right here. And you're going to come in with that 60-degree. This cut here is going to be, let's do 100 thousandths wide right here. See it? Then you come in with a stone and just bring it right straight down at a 90-degree angle. See it? Now if you're porting and polishing, this would be done differently inside of here at the port and polish shop. Here's the valve. Okay? This was at straight 90. This is a brand new valve, so it's going to be a straight 90 here. You'd have to cut this if it was an older valve just to make sure. This 90-degree is going to be 50 thousandths wide. Right there. Here's your standard 45 cut. This is going to be 85 to 90 thousandths wide. Right here. Here's that 30-degree. Right here. That's that back cut that we referred to. Here's where it's swirl polished right in here. Now this is the intake valve. Now this is the exhaust valve. This is that top back cut. Let me give it to you in relation to the side of the valve. Here's the side of the valve right here. Just up on the top face, you're going to put about a 20 thousandths wide 30-degree cut. Just kissing that top corner right there. Taking that bevel off of it. Here's your 90-degree. This is the side of the valve. You want to have, because these are new, you want to have at least 80 to 90 thousandths wide in here. Here's your standard 45-degree cut. That's where she'll be faced in. This you'll want to have 60 to 80 thousandths wide. And here's that 30-degree back cut. Now in order to get these cuts here 60 to 80 thousandths wide, you can come in a little more here and a little less there, or vice versa. You keep coming in with your calipers and measuring until you get that 60 to 80 or whatever the dimension is. Okay, now we're going to lap these valves in. What I've done, let me see if I can get it here. I've cleaned off the oil off of the valve and I put some valve lapping compound around the valve seat itself. It comes in a heavy and a light grit. We're going to use a heavy grit right here for the moment. You put your valve down in the seat with your suction cup. You're just going to spin it. You hear it? Just give it a few spins like that. You'll hear the grittiness go away. It'll start to get a little smooth. Now take it out. I wipe off the excess. Right here. If you don't have the fine, that's alright, because what you just got through grinding is ground down into a fine right now. Give it a few more. Hear how she's nice and smooth? Right there. Okay, now we're going to wipe it and check our edge. In other words, let me get the camera going. You've got a nice, there's a very shiny surface because it's a new valve. Then you've got a dull gray edge. And you'd want it about 20 thousandths wide right at this point. You do the same for all your valves, intake and exhaust. Let's see. You may just be able to see it, just that dark spot right at the corner edge. That's it right there. What you've got to do now is the compound that you used, we're going to take some of that 3919 DuPont and wipe it out thoroughly. You definitely don't want this compound down into your, on your valve, and it'll get in there and it'll wreck your valve guide. So come in here and wipe this out real good. Make sure you get all of that compound out of there. Also with the valve, just spray it from the top. Take your cloth, wipe it off real good. Making sure, you just use a tissue or a cloth. Making sure you get all of that compound off of that valve. Now that you've cleaned the valve up real good, put a generous amount of oil on your stem here and slide it down into the head. You want to make sure you've got it cleaned off and oiled real good before you put it down in there. Now we've got the valves in place, you're going to be putting the seals on. You're going to get a plastic tube with the seals right here. You're going to have to cut it down so it just clears your keepers here. When you slide these seals on, you want to make sure that they don't catch and nick the seal. So you take, and we've cut it down a little bit. We're going to slide it over the top of the valve. Put a little oil on it. We've oiled everything in here. Also the seal. Then with your hand, just kind of just push them down. There. They'll slide right over. Same on this one. A little oil. Oil up your seal. Just kind of twist them a little bit and they'll slide right down. Now what I do is I take a large washer right here and I bevel the edges and open it up a little bit so it'll slide over this metal retainer up on top of this valve with a 1/2 inch deep socket. Just start tapping it down. Right there. When she starts to sound solid, stop. If you hit it too hard, you're going to push this seal down too far and it's going to crack right here, so it's of no value to you. So make sure you gently push these down until they just butt on top of that valve. You can almost hear the dead sound when they hit bottom. I also want to emphasize right here, this is the portion where we use the cutter to cut this valve guide to put these seals on. Make sure that you have enough clearance. When you put your valve springs on, make sure when this cam is at full lift that you're not hitting this seal. You'll wipe out all the seals. Luckily, you'll wipe out all the seals. You could actually force it right down into the head itself and do a lot of damage. we've lost a set of seals because we didn't have enough clearance between the retainer and this seal, and it's come down and luckily just broke the seals and didn't get into the head. So make sure you have them machined down far enough where you don't do any damage. Once you've got your seals in place, now you're going to come in, you're going to take your height mics with the retainer that you're going to use for that cylinder and put the keepers in. Now what I do is I actually put the keepers in place and just gently pry up on them and make sure they're up at the top of the slot. Picking up on your retainer, give it a good yank. Make sure they're up in there and seated. That'll give you a false reading if it's not all the way to the top. Now you take your, see, I'm going to get a little bit more out of it yet. Now you take a reading. We've got 1 inch 890 thousandths. You want to record that reading. Okay, now I want to show you how we recorded this. We've numbered these heads. This is head number 2, so you can always keep the paperwork and the heads correct. Here's the paperwork right here. Now, this is number 1 cylinder, the exhaust. When I first checked them before they were ground, I had 1 inch 883. I just checked it right now. After we've done the valve job, I've got 1 inch 890. Now what I'm looking for is the height we chose is 1 inch 860. At 1 inch 860, I can get 150 pounds of spring pressure on this valve. So what we're going to do is put a shim. We're going to take this from the 890 and we're going to put a 30 thousandths shim underneath the spring, and that will bring us down to the 1 inch 860 that we're looking for. That will give us that 150 pounds of closed spring pressure. Now if you open this to the high lift of the cam, you're going to find that these springs will give you 415 pounds open. Now here's the machine you're going to use to check these springs right here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the spring in with no shim. I told you the reading on this spring height was 1 inch 890. So I'm going to pull it down. Let me hold it here. Let me zoom up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to pull it down to the 1 inch 890, and we're coming in at 130 pounds at that 1 inch 890. Now I'm going to release it and put the shim in. Now just underneath the spring, you're going to put your shim. Now when I draw it down, it falls right perfect on 150 pounds. I'm putting these in a little bit heavier than what the manufacturer calls for because you're going to get a little bit of variation to them. Especially once you start this motor up, these keepers are going to slide up and seat themselves. The valve will set up a little bit into the seat itself. So I want to make sure that I've got a little bit more than what the manufacturer calls for. So I'm going to set these in at 150 pounds closed. Now make sure you recorded this. There's my figure, 1,890. I put a 30 thousandths shim underneath the spring, which gave me the 150 pounds of spring pressure. Now go ahead and let's put the springs on the valves. What you're going to do, put the required shim on the head. Put your spring and retainer in. Now you're going to put your locks in place. So with this valve spring compressor, you're going to compress the spring enough to put the locks in. Let me show you on this one, over here. Now I want you to take with a small screwdriver, when you get them locks in place, just come underneath the lock and pry up gently to make sure that it's at the top of the valve. Sometimes these can hang up down on the bottom and give you a variation of 30 thousandths. So make sure you're right at the top there when you put them keepers in. Now go ahead and release your spring. Take your compressor spring off. Just turn them a little bit. Take with a rubber hammer, just kind of tap them. You want to make sure that everything is down in there properly. With a rubber hammer, you can hear it. If they weren't in there, they would pop out at this point, and you know that something was wrong and you'd have to correct it. Now what you're going to want to do, come in here with that prep saw, clean this whole surface off real good, getting all your oil off here. Insert a spark plug into the hole, tighten it down. Now here's your vacuum gauge. What you're going to do is you're going to check that valve job that you just got through doing. A lot of people use lacquer thinner. If the lacquer thinner doesn't flow down through there, they feel that they've got a good valve job. Well, they've got another little tool that I'm going to show you. What I did is I just got through, see the hose here? I just got through pumping the vacuum up. And what this manufacturer calls for is to bring the vacuum to 22 inches. Now once you get it to 22, it'll start to come down. So as it hits 20, you're going to count from when the gauge gets from 20 to 10, and you're going to count if it's more than 10 or less than 10. Now this particular valve job is outstanding. It's hanging right at 22. It hasn't moved one iota. Sometimes you will have a little piece of dirt or hair or whatever underneath the valve, and it may leak down just a little bit. Once you fire the motor up, it'll be okay, but this setting right here, or this particular valve job right here, came out right on the money, and you can go ahead and be assured that this one's going to last and give you a good seal. I want to show you something here also. While you've got the head on the bench, where you can take a good look at the spark plug as it's setting in the head here, what you want to do is you want to index these plugs. See this plug here as it turns? Alright, what you're looking for is, see your ground electrode right here? You want this ground electrode facing the intake valve. You want the open portion facing the exhaust valve. Now these are angle plug heads, so they've already taken, it could have been a straight plug in there like this. They've already turned that plug towards the exhaust valve. Instead of being straight, it's turned. Now I want you to go one step further and make sure that that electrode, the open side, is facing the exhaust valve. Now you can buy this handy little tool right here. Each head is different. As they threaded them, they may not have all been the same. So what you want to do, let me see if I can get this, is you want to buy this little unit right here. Oh, worse. See it? Now what you do is you screw the spark plug into this little unit, just like so. And they've got little brass washers that you can put underneath the plug. Now that electrode, the open side of the electrode, I've stamped in here. That's good for cylinder number 5 and number 8. If I want to use this plug right now, it's perfect for cylinders 5 and 8. You do the same thing. You take the little brass washers and you put them underneath the plug, and you can rotate them to get them to whatever cylinder you need a plug for, or for all the cylinders. This is something that is of a big help to you also. So you always want to index your plugs when you put them in the cylinders. We're going to put the guide plates and bolts in right now. Now what you want to do is you want to put some Loctite or thread sealant on these nuts, these bolts here, when you put them down in. As I showed you earlier, these are 7/16. These are not the smaller 3/8 ones. You put your thread lock down in there, or Loctite. You torque these to 50-55 pounds of pressure, and these are all set and ready to go. We have chose the comp cam roller tip rockers here. These are the stainless steel ones. These are of a 1:6 ratio, not a stock 1:5. These are a 1:6 ratio, which is going to give us more camshafts here. These here you'll never buy again. They're actually for stock car use. They're a little heavy for drag strip, but I want to eliminate all my problems in the valve train area, so we're going to go with the stainless steel. If you want these, the number on these from Comp Cam is 1105. Now also, when you put them down in there, the nut, there's a round side and a chamfered flat side over here. This only goes on one way, and then you put your nut in there. Screw them down. We'll show you how to adjust them when we get them on the motor. We've also, as I indicated before, we've gone to the heavier assembly, and these are the 3/8 push rods that we're going to use for this particular setup here. Now, when you've got this on the motor, here's a handy little tool right here. You just got through checking the pressure of all of these springs, and you know you've set them all in there at 150 pounds. Well, without taking them back out and putting them back in the spring tester again, here's a little device that you can take, and it works on roller rockers. You'd put it on this way, goes underneath here like this. You've already adjusted this assembly. You put your torque wrench in here, and you gradually keep going up on the torque wrench, 15, 16, 17, 18 pounds, until it just opens up the valve. So what you can do at that point is record that. So if you want to take a quick check on a month-to-month basis, or if you think you've got a problem in there, you can always go back in with this handy little tool here and check your spring pressure. It's not as accurate as the machine, but it's close enough to where you'll at least know if you've got a bad spring in there or not.